So when I look at the screen on my camera, I see this area as being overexposed, and it looks just like a post, and that's not very good. However, that's not important compared to how it looks in real time, in real life. Real life, I'm very happy with it now. You know, first thing I did, I know this needed more work, but because it needed more work than the foreground, I toned the foreground down a little bit. You know, I had this band across the foreground and it was just too muddy, not enough life to it. So we changed that, warmed it up a little bit, used a bit of purple here, a bit of white in there, just to lighten things. I was so confident of it before the what was I thinking era of this painting, and I'd laid a little signature in here. I just knifed over it, and this time the signature was more appropriately laid there. I know a signature seems like a small thing, but even something as small as a signature can play a role in composition when it comes to a small 8x10. Now, obviously my name is far too long. Maybe just a couple of initials might have done. I don't know. This is how I do it. Tone the trunk down, brought a little bit of light around to the face of the trunk a bit, give it a rounder shape. Oh, I'm not going to describe everything because there's so many. You know, added a little branch here, removed a branch here, brought this arc down. This was very dark, and I felt that we needed to anchor this tree and this foliage, even with some distant foliage, but of the similar values and colors in the background, a little lower value, but it brought it down. So now we have something like this going on rather than something like this going on, and supported further by this. Now we've made it a friendlier, warmer corner of nature rather than just a slice of nature. You know, to have bands, if you have you're sitting in front of a lake and you've got water in the foreground and then a slice of land in the background and then sky behind it, that's fine too, because that scene typically lends itself to that sort of layout of your composition. Something as intimate as this, when you're looking really quite close to your subject matter, those bands don't work out so well, and that's why I wanted to sort of do this. I think that connective tissue that I mentioned before has worked well. I've added a little more. I've gone kind of pink, you know. I've brought it up to just shy of the underside of this foliage. Put a couple of this specks of this color down here and down there and down here and obviously here. Had that very dark hole here before, and because the tree is going like this, and actually the foliage was going like this, I had a little triangle in here that was dark. Didn't want that. We need motion. We need to keep it moving. So I took some of these colors and brought them up into here. Now we have a little bit of playfulness, a bit of visual playfulness going on here. Now, when I see it, I'm more tempted to look here, rather than sort of look at the stump or this trunk and think, oh, it's kind of lost, it's all by itself, or look across here and then dive down to the trunk, which at that point was unimportant, and it just looked vapid, empty. So I'm happy with that. Now we have again this sort of thing going on. I think that works. Okay, I like it now. I think that's 6,000% better than it was. So one of you guys commented that you'd like to see the evolution of the composition of this painting. So that's what I'm going to work on next. It's likely going to be, I'm likely going to use a brush for it, but I would like to, you know, for the sake of the video, maybe I'll just try to do that, illustrate this hill tumbling down, but then being thrown back on itself by this tree, as illustrated by the sky. I'm not Van Gogh, and this is not Starry Night, but I equated it, the idea, to some similarities to that painting. Anyway, I'll play with that next. We'll see how it goes. See you soon.